Let's get into fleet reinforcement priority order. When the AI is playing a fleet battle, they will pick which ship comes out in reinforcement based on the hardware tags for that ship. You can see here these are the two newest Sith ships, and we can actually now, from Star Wars swgoh.gg, on any ship you can click on it, and then if you go to its hardware ability, its reinforcement ability, and click on its meta tags, you can see the meta tags that the ship has. And this will actually determine the order that they will come out of reinforcements when the AI is playing your ship on defense. The new Mark 6 Interceptor has a tag of kill. The Fury class Interceptor has just a placeholder, which is basically a no tag. These tags are important because they determine which ships will come out first. Most notably, one of the more common occurrences where reinforcement order and placement really matters is when you have an Empire fleet set with the Emperor's shuttle and the TIE Interceptor prototype. And that's because the Interceptor prototype and the shuttle both have tags of reinforce. That means they're in the same priority of reinforcement. And so whichever ship you've set first in your reinforcement order is going to be the one that comes out first. We can actually pull all of the tags now from these ships, and I've correlated this against my large GAC data poll of analyzing reinforcements, and there's a lot more information on that on the back end of this video if you're interested. And these are the order that ships will come out in. The first tag that will always be pulled out by a defensive AI-piloted fleet will be priority, and that includes several tanks and also the Outrider. The second tier is called Reinforce, and this tier is, it seems, never passed up by any lower tier either. This includes a lot of meta ships, also some pretty bad ones. Sith Fighter is the reason why I first got interested in reinforcement order. I was fighting a GAC opponent, and I was not doing well in a fleet battle, and then the first ship off the bench was Sith Fighter at Gear 1, Level 1, and it won me the match because someone put this in as their filler last ship, but it jumped everything else in priority. There's one notable exception to this tier, and that would be Slave 1. Slave 1 comes out all over the place and usually a lot lower, and the reason is if you go into its meta tags for its hardware ability, it requires a preferred enemy target, which depends on having breach, or possibly different if you're not on the executor team. Moving on down, the next tier is called AoE. This is not just AoE damage, but AoE debuffs or AoE turn meter removal on reinforcement. This tier is where you start to get mixing in of the more flexible tiers: heal, dispel, and kill. After you've gone through your AoEs, you'll come down to your damage tier. These are ships that kind of rarely come in reinforcements because they'll come off the bench so late. Default special is even below that, so Rex and Echelon are way down here. And then there's the none other tier. So these are things that don't have a tag or don't have any of the tags that are listed elsewhere on this sheet. That'll include the Fury class Interceptor, which will come last off your bench, along with the TIE Bomber, TIE Defender, Scythe, and Raven's Claw. I originally was able to figure out a way of pulling GAC data and trying to show 1-versus-1 matchups between ships. I'm not going to get into all the detail about this, but the short version is that each of these dots represents a case where a ship is being compared against another one, where one got reinforced and the other did not. And if it is gray, that indicates there was no real priority between the two ships, so it was just being picked by placement order. Red indicates that the ship on the left had a higher priority, blue that it had a lower priority. If you're really interested, you can pull this up and look at like, oh, how often is it that, Jedi Starfighter will come in ahead of Ahsoka? And it's like, oh, it's like 50-50 whether they'll jump each other. That's interesting. But for the most part, what you can pull out of here are these boxes of areas where the ships do not take priority over each other. They will not jump ahead of each other. And that's what corresponds to these tiers. The first tier is priority. These are all your ships and they don't jump over each other. They will go in whatever order you sent them. And then there's the reinforcement tier, Slave 1 being the weird outlier, AoE tier, damage, default, and none. And then your flexible tiers come out here-ish. I'm trying to find the best place to make them fit where it seems like how they often come out. Heal is usually coming out around the AoE tier. but you're seeing a lot of grayish colors and triangles, so there's a lot of volatility here. Dispel will come out around the same time. The kill trigger, which we presume means it'll come out when there's a ship that's likely to be an easy kill for a reinforcement shot, comes in pretty low in the reinforcement priority order, even sometimes below things like TIE Echelon and Rex. And so that's where the Mark 6 Interceptor will be, is in that kill priority tier. So it will usually come in quite late in the battle, but it does have the possibility of jumping ahead of something even as higher priority as like Geospy or TIE Advanced 1. This is where the Sith ships will land within this new system, and so this could be important for planning out your Leviathan reinforcements. If you want your Mark 6 Interceptor to be, say, your second or your third reinforcement, you're going to need to plan out the other ships on the reinforcements so that they're not too many of a higher priority, meaning that your interceptor never sees the light of day. If you're interested in more information on this, I'm available on Discord. A lot of this was gotten from the SWGOH Fleet server. And then I have a link here to a Google Drive folder that has the interactive chart, methods, and some other information on how I made this. Hope this is helpful for you.